Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. 9:33 now the time. Great to have you with us. I hope you're keeping record, because now we all have to keep record after that interesting...
You heard it here.
...travel tips from the tax expert from Florida, Barbara Weltman. Now I feel terrible. Like I haven't kept any receipts from any trips.
It's a good thing we had her on the show, Randall, because she got you straightened out.
Exactly. Now to straighten us out is Rob McMillan. He is a wine... Whoa, hold on.
Oh, it's me.
Sorry about that.
That was me.
Right. So the computer Patty uses pipes all the sound in through the system, and if she opens up a website that automatically plays a video or something,
as I just did,
then we all hear it along with her. So apologize for that. Rob McMillan is a wine business expert. He is with Silicon Valley Bank, but he's not in the Silicon Valley. He is in the Napa Valley. That's where he's located. It is svb.com, and he is the go-to guy for many people in the wine business industry for trends and those sorts of things. And he joins us on the line right now to talk about this predicted world wine shortage. Welcome to the program, Rob.
Hey, thanks for that musical lead-in, too. I appreciate it.
No problem.
You know, as a musician, that's always nice to hear.
Oh, are you a musician, too?
Yeah, I'm a rocker.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right on.
Maybe he could compose some of our bump music. That would be something fresh and new.
Yeah, keep him on the line.
Exactly. So Rob, what were your thoughts when this what would you call it? A study, a research piece came out regarding a world wine shortage. It was released by, what's the name of the company?
Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley, that's right. So
Yeah.
I imagine your phone must have started ringing off the hook.
Yeah, you know, it's the second time I've seen one of those. There was one by Citi that was in, and both of these are out of Australia, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
One by Citi that was in August, and that really didn't get any play whatsoever. But this one by Morgan Stanley got picked up by CNN. Aaron Smith in their money segment, and he put out the report that there was going to be a worldwide shortage by, I think it was something like 300 million cases, and my phone started ringing immediately.
I bet. I bet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the reasoning? Why do they say there will be such a shortage? Weather patterns?
What they focus on are, and by the way, they did a really good job. This is Morgan Stanley out of Australia. A couple analysts down there did a really good job pulling together worldwide wine data.
Mm-hmm.
Try to say that really fast.
Worldwide wine data.
They did a really good job of that. But the way that they got to their conclusions is they made some estimates that were entirely faulty. And just to put in to give you a big picture view of it, they took consumption and they took production and they put them together. Obviously, you'd like to have as much wine made as you have consumed. That would be a balance. If you don't produce enough and you consume more, that would be a shortage. Although, it would be kind of hard to think about how you could consume more than is made, right?
Right. Yeah, it's impossible, right?
From a practical standpoint, but they pointed out that there was going to be this huge deficit. But the way they got there was they took the trend line that was existing that went something. It's kind of hard to do on radio, but I'll just talk you through it. It's like going 10 each year, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then when they got to the year that they needed to estimate, they went 2.
Oh, so
and then they took that out and multiplied by 5, and that was the new trend line. And then the OIV, which is an organization out of France, came out with the number for 2013, and instead of being 2, as the analysts predicted in Australia, it was more like 8.
Oh, okay.
So not only is there no shortage, but there's actually a little bit of a surplus.
Oh, okay.
And I understand that our harvest this year in California is a bumper crop. It's supposed to be a great one. Does that match what you know?
Yeah, actually, 2010 and 2011 were very short years in California, actually in the whole West Coast. And 2012, however, was in my years in the business a record year both in yield and quality. Every single appellation on the West Coast had fantastic harvest conditions, and so now we have 2013 virtually completed. There's still some grapes hanging out there that are
late harvest,
are little stragglers, but we know what we have pretty much, and we expect to probably be the second largest harvest on record
behind 2012.
Behind 2012, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anecdotally, that's what I'm hearing from winemakers. I've talked to quite a few. We had this big Rockin' Harvest event here on the Central Coast, and they're really celebrating a great harvest this year. Really, really happy with the results. So it's at least, for what we're hearing, word of mouth. So.
And with the dry year, they might be a little stressed on top of it. I don't know, which might make for quality-wise, might make it kind of good for those that dry farm.
Yeah, most of the grapes that are out there aren't dry farmed anymore. And the drip irrigation is typically used not only just to keep the plants alive, but to keep the temperatures down. So when it really gets over about 90 degrees, you start to worry about your grapes shriveling. It's more than stress; it just it ruins them basically.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody pretty much likes to have drip irrigation.
Then
you bring up a really good point, which is drought, and California is looking at a second year of very dry conditions, even at this point.
Yeah, we need a really wet winter to help out the water table for one thing, and then also just to irrigate.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
Now, Rob, you are so on top of these things. What are we looking at trend-wise? People are drinking more wine, are they not? And the millennials are. There's a lot of emphasis put on the millennials.
That's what we've heard. More wine drinkers in the U.S. and in China, apparently.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true.
I love having Rob on the show because he can
know.
debunk all sorts of
That's
stuff.
what we're hearing. So tell us what is true.
So production growth, consumption growth is going up between 2 and 3% a year. And what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years now is a decline in the growth of consumption. Mm. So it's not like we're having negative consumption where people are drinking less, but we went from growth of 14% down to 8%, down to 4%. So
right.
This year we forecast at the beginning of the year we would have a growth rate in fine wine between 4 and 8%, and I think we're going to be at 4%. So the dollar component of that is not moving very much at all. It's still hard to press through price increases. The vintners, the wineries are having a hard time getting the price increases that they would like to see. And then on the millennial side, you're talking with the millennial consumers, they're coming into the market, but they're penniless at this stage. Mm-hmm. And they're on the other side of the spectrum, the guys that have all the money, the boomers, they're all hitting retirement age at this point, and they're a heavier cohort. So while we have 11,000 a day millennials that are coming on, we have 15,000 a day boomers that are retiring.
Mm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what about the China component?
The average Chinese at the high end of their spectrum, the guys that are in the upper side, they make about 15,000 a year.
Oh.
So when you think about that, how many bottles of fine wine are they going to buy at $20 a piece? And the answer is none.
Right.
So China, however, has become the fifth largest producer of their own wine, of their own grapes. So they have a large push in to try to produce wines that are of a value that can be consumed in that country. So, it's true that they are a growing consumer class, but wine is still, as a product, largely uninteresting to them. They are, if I'm remembering my stat right, they are something like 0.13 gallons per capita versus, where we are in the U.S., which is, I think, about 3.5 gallons per capita per year.
3.5 gallons. I'm helping weigh
Randall's-
that.
Randall's doing the part of a couple of people, I think, maybe.
Right. Hey, Rob, what's the price point that people seem to be willing to pay for a nice or like a medium quality wine nowadays? What's that magic number that most wineries are finding success with?
Well, there's success in every price point because everybody has got their own idea of what value is. But the part that's moving the best right now in terms of case sales and dollars combined would be between $9 and $14.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is the big producers are trying to to find that. The oddity of that whole thing though is that if you say, well, gee, I really want a special wine produced at $14. And the consumers flock to that spot. The big wine companies, of course, will find the wine to go ahead and make that product, but it'll change every single bottle run because the wine comes from different vineyards, perhaps different countries.
Right. Yeah.
So there's not the consistency there.
9 to 14 sounds about right, especially if you look at the
I like
Costco
that.
price pointing.
Yeah.
Which is where Patty and I buy a lot of our
Yes.
a lot of our wine.
Yeah, love Costco.
Hey, there is a really good Kirkland Napa Valley blend that they put out. It's it's got Cabernet and Merlot in it largely, and it's a very nice blend. I've tried the Merlot straight out of Kirkland. It's again a nice blend. They do a good job.
It's excellent. I just had it a couple of weeks ago. Rob McMillan, wine business expert with Silicon Valley Bank, svb.com. Rob, thanks for joining us and dispelling the myths.
You're welcome.
Stick around, everyone. Just after the break, we return with some culinary classes that you can take throughout